Okay, so hello and welcome to this investment management vignette. My name is Mark Thomas and we shall be explaining some of the basic functions as to how to use on your calculator. And the reason we have this little vignette on calculator basics is that not everyone is familiar with all of the functions on their calculator. Rarely do we use all of the scientific functions, but in this unit we will be. So this is just to give students a bit of a primer on how to use their calculator. Okay, so this is the calculator which I use. It's the Hewlett-Packard 12C. It's used extensively in the financial markets. It's very, very popular there for sure. It is, however, relatively expensive. Costs retails today between $120 and $150. When I purchased it, it was actually a lot more than that. It uses what's called reverse Polish notation to perform calculations, which unless you're using this calculator all the time, requires some thinking, and therefore students will be a little bit slower in using this calculator. And it's because it's expensive and because it uses reverse Polish notation, I do not recommend it for students. I note, however, that over the last 2 years since we've been in lockdown with the pandemic, that students have started downloading apps for their mobile phone, scientific calculator apps for their mobile phone. This vignette will not cover that because each app is slightly different. I'm not an expert in the apps and in these apps, and therefore I recommend that students download the manual for their app if they want to use scientific calculators on their mobile phones. But please be warned, mobile phones will not be allowed when we return to in-person exams because mobile phones, of course, can be used for collaboration and for other forms of cheating. And therefore, you will need to have a calculator, a non-programmable calculator, to be able to take a calculator with you into exams when we return to in-person exams in 2022. I therefore recommend that students buy an inexpensive scientific calculator. Now, this is the calculator which I see students using all the time when we're in class. It's the Casio FX82AU+2. It appears to be very, very popular. It is inexpensive. It's somewhere between, it's definitely less than $50. It's somewhere between $30 and $40, depending upon where you purchase it. It's available online. It's also available at Officeworks. And a manual, while it does come with a manual, you can also download the manual from casio.com. Now, with this calculator and in this unit, you are going to be using new functions on your calculator that you may not have used in the past. You will definitely be raising numbers to a power, and that's the x to the n function. And that's highlighted there in the purple circle and the purple arrow. We'll also be raising numbers to the 1 on n, which you can achieve in two ways. You can achieve it just by using the purple x to the n button, or you can achieve it by accessing the nth root of a number, which is exactly the same function as x to the 1 on n. And we're going to find that using the shift x to the n button. We'll also be using the ln functionality, which is the natural logarithm, and that's found in the green circle there, the top right-hand corner of the calculator. And we'll definitely be raising numbers to the power of e to the power of x. And that's found by, we can access that by entering shift and e to the n. Or which is the e to the n being the shift ln button. And the final thing we'll be using, and we'll be using quite frequently, will be the brackets functions, which is just there on the bottom row. Now, over the next couple of slides, we'll be working our way through an example of each of these so that you're familiar with them by the time we come to class. Okay, behave. So the first one, x to the n, is raising a number to a power. Let's work our way through a simple example. What is 7.2 to the power of 4.5? Well, the way that we access that on this calculator is we enter 7.2 x to the n 4.65 and then equals. And you'll see that being, once you're typing in that functionality, you'll see it being written on your calculator screen. And if you do that, you should get the answer of 9,696.078176. If you get that, you've done the right function, it's all worked, and you've got that one under your belt. We'll now raise a power to the x to the power of 1 on n, which is the same as taking the n through. The way which we'll do that here is we'll give an example, which is 7.2 to the power of 1 over 4.65. One way that you can do that is you can enter 7.2 x to the n, open brackets, 1 divided by 4.65, close brackets, and equals. Your calculator will calculate that, and you'll end up with the answer of 1.52887771. And if you get that, you've operated your calculator correctly. Now, if there are any problems with that, please check the manual. It will help you with this functionality. Another one is using ln, which is the natural logarithm of a number. And the reason that we use that is it measures the time it takes for something to grow. And I'll give you an example of that one. What is ln of 15.23? The way that we achieve that on this calculator is we enter ln 15.23, close brackets, equals, or alternatively, which I do prefer that students get used to doing, is ln open brackets 15.23 close brackets equals, and that will give us the answer of 2.7232677 if we do that function. Now e to the n is the natural exponent of a number. It measures the rate of growth. It is very, very popular in finance that we do this. And an example of that is, what is e to the power of 2.65? The way that we access that on this calculator is we enter shift ln 2.65 close brackets equals, or as I'd prefer you to do, enter shift ln open brackets 2.65 close brackets equals, and that will give us the answer of 14.15403.865. And the final function we'll look at today is how to use the brackets properly. Brackets enables you to tell your calculator to group functions together, to calculate those first. So we'll do a complicated example. What is 2 times 3 plus ln of 18.9? So what is 2 times 3 plus the natural log of 18.9? Well, in this equation, what we want to determine is 3 plus the natural log of 18.9 before we multiply that answer by 2. So the way that we do that in this calculator is we enter, just as it appears there on the screen, 2 times, open bracket, 3 plus ln, open bracket, 18.9, close bracket, equals. When we do that, we'll get the answer of 11.878323884. If we end up with something different, again, go away and check with the manual for the calculator, but this is my understanding as to how this should work. That brings us to the end of this little vignette. My recommendation for you is that you consider buying an inexpensive scientific calculator so that when we're back to in-person classes, you'll be able to take this calculator with you into an exam. And if you've been using it throughout the period that you're in class, you'll be familiar with how to use it, and there'll be no surprises and no difficulties when you get to the exam. And definitely, whichever way you plan to go, make sure that you download the manual for your calculator. Okay, well, thank you very much for this. I hope that you've found this useful.